Welcome back, Smooth and Crypto. I'm your host, Maxwell Smooth. It has been my great pleasure to have Steve from Volt. How are you doing, Steve?
Man, I'm doing fantastic. Thanks for having me. We're just having a good chats before, and I'm just blessed to be on your show. So thank you.
Absolutely, man. It's been a long time coming. Volt has been in the process of releasing for quite a while now. And, it's
Yeah.
always interesting to see a new project that builds off of other ideas within the ecosystem.
Mm,
And I
mm.
think you got something that's just that bit different that could be really, really
Yeah.
beneficial.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what I love about Vault, the simplicity and the innovation. And it launches tomorrow. Tomorrow afternoon, 2 p.m. UTC, Saturday 28th, it's launching. So this is my last stream before it launches. Yeah, but yeah, the simplicity of Vault, combining elements of previous protocols, but coming up with something unique, simple, which people love. People love deflation. People love massive buy and burns. And in a perpetual auction system, I think it's brilliant. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm liking it. I'm just been trying to wrap my head around it because you
Yeah.
put that little extra spin on
Yeah.
everything, kind of what people are used to. So
Yeah. You're right. You're right. It does it spins. You're right. It's taken what people know, like they know auction, they know buy and burn, but it's used it in both in totally unique ways.
yep.
Like we've never had a buy and burn that does what Volt does, and we've never had an auction system that does what Volt does. And I'm talking about that. I think it's really the history of DeFi. We've never had a token distribution like Volt. So the token distribution, the auction system, and the buy and burn are innovative yet simple. I look at Volt as a beautiful Lamborghini that I'm looking, and it's simple. I can get in it, I can drive, and I can use it. But the mechanics of Volt are beautiful, but a bit more in depth when you look up the hood. You don't need to know about the engine of the Lamborghini to drive it,
hmm
but it's very interesting to look in the engine and look at the Volt mechanics. And quite a lot of people have been reaching out to me today asking about some of the mechanics. So I've been explaining to a few people. Yeah, so it's
Yeah,
interesting.
well,
Yeah,
it's awesome, man. And your analogy of driving versus what's actually under the hood is a very good
yeah,
analogy when it's compared to Volt because it seems very simple, and it actually is,
yes,
but
yes,
everything that's going on the back end is really what's so powerful about this project.
yeah, yes. That's a good way. I like what you said there. Powerful, and it's intentional. It's intentional tokenomics to to ultimately move towards hyperinflation quickly in a fair distribution manner. So yeah, I like it is. It's a powerful yeah. Check out the white go to actually if anyone's watching, go to vault.win and you can go though oh to the website now. You need to go to docs.vault.win because the website's set up for the launch. But yeah, docs.vault.win, you'll get there.
Yeah, I just put it in the chat form.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, and we can just start with this. I have some questions, but we'll start
Yeah.
with Dazzle. Volt looks awesome. Can you ask Steve how he came up to the conclusion for the percentages for buy and burn? 20% daily is quite high. Wondering if there is a reason for this.
Yes, so it's actually 15%. So yeah, the buy and burn, I think what you're thinking about is that 20% is taken from the treasure vault from day 11 for the perpetual auction system. So what the buy and burn does is take 50% of everything brought with with the buy pressure, buy and burn, what people know as a buy and burn. 50% is placed into a contract, which from day 11 is used for the auction system. And that's the key for Volt. That one thing is a key for Volt. I was on Mike Dean and I said, I think we're going to go through this Vault up in about 10 minutes because it is very simple. but we went through it 5 times in different ways, but it is very simple. But the 20 so the buy and burn is actually the buy and burn is 15%. And so why? I want it decentralized. Firstly, I want it decentralized so people know what's going to happen tomorrow and the next day and the next day. So that was something key for me is the just so you know tomorrow what the buy and burn is going to be. You have the rules. It's decentralized. And you know it's going to be. So I had to choose something, and I chose 15% because it feels like a good number. 15%. It's not too high. It's not too small. But if you do understand, in the buy and burn in the first 10 days is actually there's no buy and burn day one. Day two, it's 42% of the buy and burn, and it goes down 3% a day until you get to day 11 when it's 15%. So, yeah. Why? Because most the entire distribution is of Vault supply is the first 10 days. So I want to try and get as much burnt or off the market in the first 10 days and as much as possible in the vault for future auctions. So that's why the buy and burn it starts at 42% on day 2 and then goes all the way down to 15%. So you've got to pick some numbers, and that seemed like a right balance at the time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. And we saw how different various projects came out, right? That had some pretty aggressive buy and burns early, right?
Yeah.
And it really showed throughout the whole minting process. And I mean, we could use TitanX as an example, right? Like we were burning so many tokens early on. I mean, it was like so many billions, almost trillions, some days trillions, right? It was nuts, right? But early
Right.
on with the hyperinflation aspect, right, especially with Volt being a very aggressive 10-day minting period, right, we have high inflation coming out, right? So we need something to at least offset it, slash, even make it, very a little more stable throughout that 10-day minting process. And I think an aggressive day one being the highest mint day, being the most aggressive, all the way kind of tailed down to that 15% at the end. I think I really like that. And
Yeah.
it's one of those things, like you said, you have to pick a number, and you either go more aggressive or less aggressive, and both have their pros and cons to them.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I mean, all the builders are thinking of these tokenomics, and you got to grab a number. And so you usually just start with a peg holder and then think of reasons why it should be higher and reasons why it should be lower. And I did that for a few weeks.
Yep.
Like it was a little bit different, and I was thinking of reasons why it should be higher, reasons why it should be lower. But eventually you settle on something, and then that is it. That's the rules of the game. Like Monopoly has the rules, and I don't like some of the rules maybe. But why can't we have $400 going past go? Why is it 200?
Right.
But they settled on something.
Yep. Yeah, and
Yeah.
this is also right. This is all these percentages are during the first 10 days, right? So
Yeah,
it, it's going to be a capped buy and burn after that, right? On day 11, so on, or is it
absolutely.
varies?
Yes, yes. It starts high, the buy and burn percentage of the total supply. It goes gradually down to day 11. It stays at 15% forever.
Yep.
It's programmed in. It's hard coded in. It can't be changed. Yeah,
Yeah, I
which is
like
nice.
that. And it just kind of gives at least some view into the future of what it could do, right? Because everybody loves to
Yeah.
not only try to do some numbers, some moon boy math, if you want to call it that, right? But you have to have these certain numbers long term to be able to do some of this math. And I think having that upfront, very fair,
Yeah.
15% for perpetuity of the entire project really gets kind of a good grasp on what you could see in the future.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Absolutely. Like in Inferno, it was different percentage each day of the week. So
Yep.
Sunday to Wednesday, 4%, 10% Thursday, Friday, Saturday, 15%.
Yep.
So yeah, yeah, these percentages are good. Inferno doesn't perpetually refill the buy and burn, so protocols are built on top of it to deflate the coin.
Yep.
Vault has a perpetual auction system, so the buy and burn's continually being filled. And another reason for 15% is it's not too much because people see how big the buy and burn is and know that that's the backing for the future. So
Yeah.
even if nothing comes in or not much comes in one day, tomorrow is going to be 15%. Another, and so having a nice buy and burn like that, having that certain percentage doesn't burn your whole load type thing in one day. I spoke to
Hmm.
Jake too about it, and he said, yeah, fair enough, 15%, because
Yeah.
there is value. There is value. He like you said, that's fine. He liked it. But yeah, I understand what people can think because there's this massive, could be a big value in there. It's being wasted, but it's not necessarily wasted. It's just there for the future. And even if, and TitanX could easily go up, with like very, very likely,
Hmm.
like, like it's going to hit deflation in November, and a 10x is not much for TitanX. So that buy and burn value could increase too, just on the basis of TitanX price increase, which is again very interesting to me.
Yeah, and it's a heavy leverage against TitanX, right? Especially having that buy and burn in TitanX and whatnot. So it's going to be a really cool kind of
Yeah,
gameplay long term, especially early on, right? These first 10 days of release are going to be.
yeah,
I don't even know where the price floor could be after 10 days.
yeah,
It's just something that's so
yeah,
aggressive early on to get all of the inflation out early. It's I don't know. It's something that just is I'm trying to
yeah.
grasp my head around.
Yeah, it's fascinating, and it's fascinating. TitanX tokenomics for a start, and the projects built on TitanX, which utilize buy and burn. Just because Jake last year he was like buy and burn, it's all about buy and burn. Because I talked to him too even before the launch of TitanX, and it was we were both like Zen at the time, but we didn't we didn't like how the value was lost in Zen. And so bringing that value back into the system in TitanX, and then the protocols is bringing it back into the system is phenomenal to think of, because meme coins, you can launch a meme coin easily, but usually they just stick the liquidity in the liquidity pool and then let it be. There's no value being pushing into it. So the way that TitanX builders and protocols are coming out to recycle value and to push the value back into the system, I think it's really interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so too as well. I mean, it's going
Mm.
to be very interesting to see how not only these new projects coming out, right? Because early on, right, there were some projects that said they were going to come out and this and that, various different projects, but you know, it was very few and far between that the community was like, "Hey, we actually like that project." Right? It was mainly people just saying, "Okay, we want to try to get some money from this TitanX ecosystem. Let's make a project. People are just going to jump into it." But you quickly found out that people, if the tokenomics weren't right, were just going to absolutely obliterate you. And
Yeah.
it's just kind of very important that the community really knows what we want in all of our projects. And we're 10, 11 days in, and here we are, or 10, 11 projects in, and here we are, right? Every single one fair launch, buy and
Yeah.
burns, right? It's so amazing to see kind of where we started from versus where we are now. And to the point where you're releasing Volt tomorrow, and it's so different from what I thought things could be released on top
Yeah.
of Titan X.
Yeah. 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 Absolutely. It. Yeah. Reminiscing on what has come before in Titan X protocols, it is so phenomenal when you start looking at the projects that have come, the projects coming now, and the projects in the future. They're all doing things differently, and they're all bringing They're all bringing utility to Titan X. Even if they didn't burn any Titan X, they're increasing the value just by existing, so people can use their Titan X for all these cool things. Just like
Yep.
we couldn't buy bread with US dollar. We just had it in our hand, nothing to spend it on. It was useless, but it has good utility, the US dollar. You go to the shop and buy bread, but it was Titan X. Just like we got all these different games to play, protocols to go in, leverages to do, and with new utilities coming out, you got farms, Ouroboros, different types of utility, which adding utility is fascinating. You know, Vault is it's an interesting one. It's kind of a gamified, just like TitanX was a gamified type thing, but it's become this store of value thing. Yeah, it's fascinating the massive range of protocols coming out and the utility being provided for this coin that we're building on. It's phenomenal. Like Chiz calls it DeFi 3.0.
Yeah, I love it. And, I don't know if you saw my tweet earlier, but there was this video that I was just looking back through my old videos that I made. And early on, before TitanX released, I clipped this video in one of my videos of Jake just talking about TitanX and what he thought could be the potential and projects being built onto it and everything. And I think that video just shows kind of where we started from, and just to see where we actually are now with multiple projects already released, 10 in the pipeline. I would
Yeah,
say probably 10 to 20 that are being talked about behind the scenes that aren't even
yeah,
released yet. So
yeah.
it's just awesome to see kind of where we
It
started from versus
oh,
now.
man, it really is, and it's not just a pivot that Jake did, it was the vision in the DNA since the beginning, you know, because even in the white paper, in the white paper, it had, about builders come building, and there was all, and Jake was talking about it for months, like build on TitanX, and I remember in December 2023, I thought, oh, I think I can do a good project on TitanX. I think I'm going to try, and so that's when we did Blaze, and
Hmm.
that took months. That was just that was nuts. But yeah, it's the vision, the foresight of Jake back in 2023 to because that's never been done. Look at Dogecoin, we look at all these coins, even top, popular coins, and they don't have a system of builders around them that is so innovative and creative as in TitanX. And we're at the beginning. There's a Cambrian explosion of protocols coming, it seems. Like Mike Dean, he came out with he's gonna make one.
He's
Mike
teasing it.
Dean. Yeah, he's teasing us, isn't he?
Hmm.
I speak with him sometimes on the phone. And yeah, he said he was going to build one. So I knew I knew he had it on the cards, but now he's public,
Yeah,
so I can say
yeah.
it now.
That's awesome. Yeah,
Yeah,
and
man.
it's one of those things, like, to your point, right? We've never seen this before, but also
Yeah.
we have seen projects that, want people to build on top of them, right? But there's no
Mm,
incentives or vision to what they want. And if they
yeah.
do build something, it's more than likely something that just sucks capital out of that main thing. And to see
Yeah.
capital staying within the system, new capital coming in because people
Mm.
don't want to use their TitanX. They'd rather buy new TitanX to get into other projects. This is something that's going to keep growing, and especially be uh, heightened when we're in hyperdeflation in the next couple months.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And just what you said about the ethos of the TitanX ecosystem, the focus on tokenomics, on auditing, it's like you don't even get on the page of Mike Dean's TitanX hub without audits.
Yeah,
There's certain things, but Vault is triple audited. We got Dead Rose, who Jake, I think it's, I believe that's Jake's favorite auditor. And it's Eric's too. And that's why I picked Dead Rose, because I thought, let's get the best one in. And he knows the ecosystem, and he knows buy and burns. He knows stuff. So I want an auditor who knows what he's talking about. So Dead Rose got other two really, really smart auditors, not the really smart guys. So it's triple audited, and I didn't even really need the third audit, but I just wanted to have that triple audited gold star. So for marketing, you know what I
right,
mean?
right.
Marketing, like double audited doesn't sound as good as triple audited. And so even my
Yeah,
dev said, "Look, you don't need another audit." I said, "Yeah, let's do another audit. We've got time," because I was waiting for Flux to launch before I launched, and I said, "I've got another week or so, so let's do another audit. I don't like just waiting around doing nothing, so let's just do another audit." And
right.
yes, we've got the triple audit gold star, which is awesome. We're really pleased. But the ethos of there's an ethos in TitanX builders and community. And unlike like Zen, which did have this builder thing, in TitanX, it's a capitalist builder. It's like builders are rewarded, they make good tokenomics, they burn TitanX, that they have innovation it's a beautiful um, narrative and place. It's a beautiful place in crypto. It's a beautiful
Yeah.
place in crypto.
Yeah, and I think a lot of us early on saw that, right? I really do
Yeah.
think through the white paper and just through conversations with different various people, we all saw that kind of ethos starting, right? And
Mm,
even through the hashtag
mm,
build on TitanX, which seems so simple in the early days, right? But really was a catalyst to what could be done and what has and is currently being done. And it's
mm,
just so amazing to see the journey through release to the FUD to now we're making our comeback story. It's for
mm,
everybody that believed in it from the beginning. They're like, okay, this is pretty much confirmed what we thought could be possible. Now the next step is something that we don't even know the possibility of. Like it's only higher highs, in my opinion,
mm.
from here on out, especially with projects like Volt and other various projects coming out. I mean, it's really inevitable, in my opinion.
Yeah, it absolutely agree with you. Agree with that sentiment 100%. I'm thinking too, like right now we've got real grassroots builders, like just normal people. I think there's a potential like next year, early next year, we could have some big company wanting to build on TitanX because they utilize the massive community which TitanX is. Because you immediately come to TitanX and a builder has a massive community like who love this type of stuff.
Yep.
That's why a lot of TitanX, we like the Pulse chain, we like Zen, we like all this decentralized stuff. Yield farming, like Titans of LP, like big shout out to that group. That is an awesome group of
Hmm.
LP ninjas just doing some cool stuff. And I'm speaking with Johnny, the guy who set it up next week on my show and interview. So I'm really excited for that. So
Oh,
tune
dang.
in. Yeah,
I
man.
definitely will. I definitely
Oh,
will.
cool. I'm honored. You tune in. I'm honored.
Hey man, I love this stuff, right? This is the only time in my life that I really get to talk about crypto is
Yeah.
through people like talking to
Yeah.
you, different various streams and stuff, and on Twitter and X, right? So it's I love it, right? Whether I'm listening to it actively or listening to it while I'm doing
Mhm.
stuff, right? This is kind of just how I like filling my ears, and it's I'm not I'm not against the manifestation thing, right? I really think if you just keep progressing and keep going towards a goal, right? And whether that's listening, actively doing it, or right? You have the ability to really grow and grow just by listening, right? Just by hearing other points. And you never
Mm,
know what could really click in your head to make it all make
mm,
sense. And I think a lot of people within TitanX already have that. And I think a lot of people are almost right there. And it is really cool to see because a lot of other projects, they don't have anything close to that as a community sentiment. They really don't. And I've been in a few that you think it is until it isn't. It's
yeah. Yeah. The vibe is beautiful. It's a beautiful vibe. And I think we've always had a good vibe in Titan X. It's always been a good vibe. And you're an OJ, you've been in since day one. Yeah, I've always felt good vibe in on I'm not big on Twitter until like a few months ago. So,
mhm.
but I mean publicly, like I always behind the scenes, I was reading everyone's. But yeah, yeah, you're right. There's a good vibe.
Yeah, and I think it's only growing. I really do, and I think if uh, having staples in this community, like me,
Yeah.
yourself, and other various people that have that kind of vibe and vision for what this could be, and new people coming in will see, okay, all of these streamers feel the same type of way for the most part, right? And they all
Yeah,
have good
that's
vibes and
great.
good feelings and stuff.
That's great.
So let me just try to go. Take a note out of their book, right, and not be
Yeah.
so aggressive or fudding or whatever the case may be. And I think it's only part of this journey that TitanX is that we really are seeing not only a culmination of people, but the idea of, hey, we're all in this together. This was fair from the beginning, and this is only going to get better. And more projects are releasing that are going to be fair launch. So it's really cool.
Yes, it is really cool. And you're right. It's like we talked about how the protocol's existence adds a value to the Titan X itself. The community does too. The community adds an unrealized value to the TitanX because you don't get a fervent community often like this. You
Yep.
don't often get that. A grassroots, real DeFi orientated, normal person. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like in Solana, you don't have that. You don't. You know, it's different. It's a different vibe. I'm big in. I've been big in Solana. It's a
Yep.
different vibe.
It's very
Yeah,
different. And I
yeah, and even the projects that come out on Solana, you know, they weren't as creative as what we're seeing right now in TitanX. It's just they had their meme coin Cambrian explosion at the beginning of the year, but it's just like a
yep.
bunch of meme coins and a massive liquidity and people just aping in and out. You know, it wasn't anything new.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's what we have, right, is in the video of Jake that I was talking about earlier,
Yeah.
right? He was talking about, okay, I got a piece of this crypto, this good piece from this one, and vice, and
Yeah.
probably like 4 or 5 different ones, right? But the only thing that he did not get from any of the cryptos is our community. That is the only thing that has not even shown through any of those other coins.
That is a really good point. That is a really good point. Yeah, yeah. He took beautiful tokenomics.
Yep.
I remember that. I'm talking about that from different projects to put in a pot and come out with TitanX. But yeah, I mean, how do you think the community was formed like that? What was the catalyst for the community?
I think early on, it was just the fair launch tokenomics of it. I really
Yeah,
think that's a big
yeah,
part of it, and
yeah,
people realizing that throughout the first maybe 60 days or so.
yeah,
But we got a lot of bad actors out early. We got them out way early. They were trying to do
yeah.
short-term miners, and maybe they made money, maybe they didn't,
Oh,
whatever the case
yeah,
may be. But those
you're
people are
right.
gone. Those people are
Mm.
gone. The people who had 280-day miners are all the people that are here, or they held their early ones. So
Yeah, that's a really good point. That is a really good point because the yeah, it's like the community is made up of believers who had to weather 280 days of waiting in a way.
yep,
Because whether you liked it or not, when you put up did 280-day or long-term miners, you were committed to the project. And being committed to a project, you can become more emotional for it or more, like a soccer team or a baseball team, a basketball team. If your friends are like them and you're forced to go and watch them, you might start liking them a bit more. But it's
yep,
like they were people were invested to understand more about TitanX because they had miners coming out months and months and months into the future instead of just a meme coin you buy and you're waiting to sell it. You can't do that with TitanX
yep,
because the real
yeah.
value was the long term miners in a way.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I think early on, people saw the ROI on the miners, and they were saying, "Okay, this is amazing, right? I like this. I'm
Mm,
doing full length miners. I'll do a couple short term miners, right? And whatever the case may be of your beginning, right? But a lot of people that had the 280-day miners are the ones still to this day are here actively.
mm,
We're doing miners throughout the whole entire time, so they got more and more coming out as we speak throughout this next month.
mm.
And
Yeah.
people, like you're saying, they got to sit on their hands with the miner, so they can't
Yeah.
sell. Right, all they can do is look at it and be like, okay,
Yeah.
am I going to sell this when it comes out, or am I going to wait 280 days and just be, a believer and hold it? And I
Yeah.
think a
Yeah.
lot of people were kind of anticipating, okay, this 280-day miners come
Yeah.
out, we have
Yeah.
trillions of inflation. It's over. It's just over. So they had that
Yeah.
view
You're right.
going up to it. And what happened? The exact opposite on 280-day. More
You're
people
so
held,
right.
more people to put it in their wallet, and they're like, oh, this is
Yeah.
awesome.
You're so right. You're so right. Those people who had those long-term 280-day miners, even if they wanted to sell during the months of April, May, maybe June, you know, you get to August and beyond, and you're like, I don't even want to sell because I see where this is going. I see the value. I see the future. I see deflation is coming in
Yep.
November. And that backed by a massive buy and burn in the TitanX, which is kind of holding up the whole ecosystem in a way because it's just that its existence is nothing like it in crypto. I mean, what grassroots token has, 15 million in a buy and burn just waiting there to be unleashed? But,
Yeah.
I even was thinking just recently, especially in the last month, like I used to value TitanX a lot because it had the buy and burn backing it up. But I'm starting to get it's becoming feels like intrinsically valuable in itself because I don't look at what's backing Ethereum or Solana or the liquidity,
Right.
but I'm feeling it's starting to have this intrinsic value of itself developing. I just sensing that a little bit. At least I'm feeling that way about it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree. I mean, especially from the beginning, it was really set up to be the main store value in the whole entire
Mm,
ecosystem, right?
mm.
And the fact that most, if not all, products that have came out not only interact with TitanX, but their main liquidity pair is with TitanX. So
Yeah.
inevitably, unless all of these LPs just go away randomly overnight, TitanX will always have value. And whether
Yeah.
it's high value, low value, whatever the case may be, it does
Mm.
have value in the real world and also has value intrinsically. And I think it's only
Yeah.
going to grow over time.
Yeah. Yeah. It's actually, I remember, you were in Pulse Chain, and do you remember when Hedron came out and Richard Hart was sending cryptic messages to, I think, Alex from Hedron, the founder.
Hmm.
And when Hedron started, he did an ETH liquidity pool, and then Richard Hart sent a message to him to liquidity bond it to Hex. And when he did that, that's when the big sell wall came, the OA sell wall, which was
Hmm.
helping Hedron. And Alex made this big thing about liquidity bonding to Hex. And it's like in the last few years, I've learned more and more about liquidity, but it is really genius move when tokens built on TitanX are paired with TitanX because it doesn't
Yep.
affect the price. It won't affect the price in Ethereum. And you're right. It's in some ways it's locking. It could be locking it up a little bit, but the value the value isn't taken out of Titan X, and so they can go up even faster, even higher in a way, which is interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. And at the end of the day, right? Main liquidities pairs are between TitanX and the main thing, right? But what we're
Mm,
seeing is,
mm,
let's take Inferno for an example, right? There's a ton of projects that are being built and released on Inferno, right? So inevitably, the LP for most of those projects are going to be Inferno slash X, right? Whatever the case may be,
yeah,
whatever it's called, right?
yeah,
So
yeah,
it's not directly
yes.
LP'd with TitanX, but what is it doing? It's making the LP of TitanX and Inferno even more strong. And it's going to
Mm,
grow Inferno and other various projects that have a ton, right? Dragon X, for instance, what it has
mm.
6 bind burns at this point or something. So it's going to continue to make these heavy, heavy LPs between TitanX and the main thing, and they're going to rise together, right?
Yeah,
So
you're
I
right.
love projects being released on TitanX, but what I'm really looking at is these secondary projects being released on the sub coins within TitanX. They're going
Yes.
to be very leveraged. They're going to be very light, and they're going to move quick.
Yes. Yeah, really. Especially when you're paired with a deflationary limited supply coin.
Yep.
So Volt is hyperdeflationary limited supply distribution 10 days. And I know of founders independently coming to me wanting to build on, have their liquidity pool with Volt. So, so just how, actually Lotus, Justin, he is building, incorporating Volt in his tokenomics, which is absolutely awesome, which is amazing. But you're right. Yeah, it's incredibly interesting, the liquidity and a lot of thing in Volt too. And it's like the whole we talked about Volt and look at a Lamborghini and look at the engine. One of the engine things of Volt is this liquidity growth bonding, and I've set 8% of value going into Volt for liquidity growth because I love liquidity, and I want whatever happens to Volt, I just want wherever it is to be just to be growing liquidity with TitanX and other TitanX coins, and the liquidity growth that Volt will happen to Volt over the next couple of weeks is setting everything up for the Volt wheel. And the Volt wheel I mean, I don't want to talk about it because I'm launching Vault tomorrow, but yeah, is really, 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 really cool. It really is a wheel. When I share it with people, they're gonna go, "Oh, it's." And again, the Volt wheel has some innovation that has never been done before. Really, really.
Yeah,
And I haven't told anyone about it actually yet. Not even no one, just me, just me. So, like, I haven't told anyone, but Volt is launching tomorrow, which is having this liquidity bonding and growth, which is just it's fascinating to me. It's the whole thing because I do a lot of LPing for years and DeFi and lending protocols. I love all this stuff.
yep.
So I familiar.
Yeah, I'm really excited, and especially, there's a lot of, like you said, innovation and new things that are coming with Volt to TitanX, and I think what's going to happen, in my opinion, right? We're going to see how it plays
Mm.
out, right? We have a very aggressive 10-day minting period, right? Which we haven't really seen before, right? It's been more
Mm.
of a long, drawn out
Yeah,
periods of
yeah,
minting, right? Even for instance, Awesome X, right? That has over 100 weeks of minting, right?
yeah,
So it's a very aggressive 10-day mint, and we
yeah,
will see how that does, right? And whether that does good or bad, whatever the case may be, right? People will either push it and advance it even more with the next project that's going to be released, or someone's going to release something on Volt that kind of fills in a gap that Volt didn't see, or whatever the
yes,
case may be. So it's
yes,
it's everything is a stepping stone in Titan X, and it's going to be even crazier in the next year because we've seen past projects. How did they do? How many people were in it? What's the monetary value that went
yeah,
into it? Right. So
yeah,
it's going to be. I've been pretty excited for Volt to come out, and
yeah,
it's going to be a really interesting theory, in my opinion.
yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely, definitely. Like yeah, if we think of token distribution, we had minting on ICOs in 2016, 17, just basically mint. We had when Zen came out, it was this incredibly interesting distribution that wow. And then TitanX took it like a massive step further with its mining. And then we got the one-on-one mint, we got the mining mint, we got the DBZen Blaze auction, and then Vault, brand new category never seen before. Limited supply distribution with a perpetual auction system. It's fascinating. It's exciting. Just to, like you said, just to see it in action. Just to let that horse into the wild and see how it moves. You know what I
Yep.
mean? I want to see how this horse moves. We've never had this breed of horse before. We've got token distributions and we know the breed and you can guess a little bit how it's going to do because we have a history and experience to draw from. But with Vault, there is no history and experience with this type of distribution. It's a wild donkey that is just going to be released into the wild, and we're going to see how it runs. You know what I mean?
Yep.
To see it just running up the mountain. I want to see it running up the mountain, jumping and leaping. But let's see how it happens. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's going to be really interesting. I mean, I can't say enough. Uh, with just a bit of uniqueness and difference between other projects within Titan X, we have no idea the cap and
Mm,
future of these projects. And we're
mm,
in the early days of a lot of them, right? And a lot of these things, especially like Titan X, we're not going to see the main benefits and the advantages that it has until way later on, right? Some are very successful early on and they keep that success or whatever the case may be. But a lot of these projects, right, are fair launch and they're trying to get as
mhm.
many coins into people's hands as possible. In
Yeah.
10 days, all of that's going to happen, right? So it's
Yeah.
it
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
in
Absolutely.
Inferno and a lot of other projects they have weekly ones, weekly,
Yes.
right? So 10 days is going to be just that little bit difference
Yes.
that could really catalyze a big upfront surge.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Inferno, like a part of the Blaze, we did Inferno and Blaze. Inferno is a cap supply, but it's only deflationary if you burn it. So it's cap supply, distribution 8 weeks, deflationary if something burns it, which projects are, which is awesome.
Yep.
Vault is self-sufficient in its deflation. So it doesn't require anything external for it to deflate. The design, what I mean is design of Vault is self-sufficient. So once the 1 billion tokens are distributed in 10 days, there's still gonna be value coming in for auction from tokens brought from the liquidity pool up for auction on day 11 and onwards, which is gonna continue value into the system and continue the burning of Vault. So one thing I'm really interested is how much Vault tokens can be burnt in the first 10 days. Because the buy and burn's heavy in the first 10 days.
Yep.
It's a massive buy and burn on steroids. I'm kind of starting to market it as Vault is a buy and burn on steroids. You know, because the first when the buy and burn is lit, the fire is lit, it's like 42% of it is burnt, and then the next day 39%. But it's probably going to be a higher burn than the first day because you're adding up all that came before, the 39% of all value that came before. So, yeah, I'm fascinated to see how much. And have you seen the front? Have you seen the front end, by the way?
The what?
Oh, have you seen the front end of Vault?
Oh, I saw a video of it during a stream, but I would love if you want to bring it up and show.
Yeah, I'll bring it up right now.
Yeah, and just to get this, Mellow Cryptic, I appreciate your donation. Me and Steve are having a great conversation, so I didn't want to cut the conversation up, but I appreciate the donation.
Yeah.
Volt launch September 28th around 2 p.m. UTC. Be there. Let's get shocked. I couldn't agree more. It's gonna be amazing.
Oh, nice, Mellow. Let's get shocked. That's nice. That's a good one.
Yeah, thank you, Mellow. I appreciate it.
Yeah. So it's a simple UI. You've got your auction here at the top, so you can decide what you're going to put in. And I modeled this from Uniswap, so you can see your balance here, and then the value of how much tokens you want to put in here. That's how much it's going to be. So people are familiar straight away. But unlike a DEX swap, it's an auction. So if how our auction system works is the amount of distribution a day of first 10 days, it's 100 million a day, is distributed proportionately to how much TitanX you deposit. So if just me and Smooth deposit 100 million each of TitanX, we get half of the auction pool for that day each. So that is how auction works. It's if 10 people come in, we all get 10% if we all put in the same amount. If I put in 200,000 and then Smooth puts in 100,000, I'm going to get like 75%. I'm going to get more. So it's exactly proportionate to how much you put in. And it's better just to do what you want for the first day, because when you claim, it's going to be cheaper if you just have one, basically. But you claim, so you got the auction box. This is the key here. The auction box. You have the ROI of if you were to sell the amount of Vault you're going to get straight away, but that, of course, that will change as the day goes.
Yep.
Just like in Blaze auctions, if people are familiar. That's the only button you need to press really for this. And then we have the summary of the actual day's auctions. You got the price of Vault, the Vault supply, which is for 10 days is 100 million. Then 20%. You have how many participants came in that day, which is, I think it's a useful stat. I want to see that. And how much TitanX came in that day. And then below this, this is where you claim. Just one button to claim. However many auctions you have, you can claim. If you forget for 5 days, it's going to be here. You can just claim. There's no penalty. Just claim whenever you want to claim. And it's a bulk claim, so it will claim every single ended auction that you have, every single ended one. And here, it's not showing up because I'm not logged in, but if I log in, you get the stats, your personal stats of your auctions right here. So that's the auction page. It's simple. There's only 3 tabs: auction, burn, and stats. So the burn page is It's self-explanatory. It's just this is it. Well, as I made this UI, everything I did was to make it as simple as possible. So intuitive and as simple as possible. That's the whole thing. That's why I didn't have crazy graphics, because like the first iterations of this, there was lightning going everywhere. It was just you look at it and you're like, wow, this is amazing. But it's confusing because with so much going on in the background. So I simplified everything. I thought through how can I make the buy and burn as simple as possible. These three things at the bottom you don't need to know, but they're useful. But you just press it here. You're going to see how much totally is in the buy and burn. If it's on second day, 43% of that will come in here. And this is going to stay. It's just going to show you what for that day is available to burn. That's going to be burnt that day. So that will stay. That will update once a day. Buy and burn balance will update in real time. The next buy pressure, every 5 minutes, there's a certain amount that will be burnt. We've programmed 5-minute intervals. That's 288 intervals in a day. If it's not called, it accumulates. So it doubles in 10 minutes, and it keeps doubling until someone calls. It keeps increasing until someone calls it. And then of course you get a user reward. And then of course, at the top you see how many exact tokens have been burnt from Vault. And the stats are simple. There's only like a few things in the stat. You basically just got how much percentage of Vault tokens is burnt, because that's really interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Total Vault supply, which is about 1 billion to start with, which is going to decrease. And this is how much got burnt. And then of course, the treasure Vault balance. This is how much is going to be used in future auctions. So 50% of what goes in the buy and burn goes into here for future auctions. 42% is then burnt, and 8% for liquidity. But this is a key metric because it shows you how much you're going to be. So when you think of the first 10 days, about just less than 10% of total supply distributed each day, that's 100 million token, 10%. Is there going to be 10% on day 11? Very unlikely. So the most tokens available are for early participants in the first 10 days. And then day 11 onwards, how much supply is there going to be? Well, we don't know. That's part of the game theory. We don't know how rare Vault will come. We don't know what will be available on day 11 and day 12 onwards. But it should get less and less and less and less. And if it will get less and less and less, that's how it's designed, because everything that goes into the Vault has an opposite just about in the burnt address, because everything up for auction from day 11 onwards has been brought from the liquidity pool, which has pushed the price up, and then people are going to auction for a token that has it's being recycled. But as soon as they auction for it, value goes into the buy and burn, burning more Vault. And so it's just this onward spiral of burning. So this is a burning wheel, burning thing, which is just fascinating, like we talked about. So this is the front end. It's simple. And
the only thing I think you're going to have to add on the stats page is BOV, built on Vault. I think that's really going to be the only thing you'll have to add to it.
That's a really, really good idea. Yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah, because I mean, you saw it from the beginning of TitanX, right? Jake had to add the BOT, and now a lot of other projects are going to have their own, BOI, BOD, whatever the case may be, right? So
yeah, you're right. Yeah, that'd be interesting.
I think it's perfect for right now and whatnot, and obviously, you never know what could happen in the next, few months. So, just wanted to give my 2 cents.
Yeah, man. Yeah, so
So it's gonna be pretty cool to see not only how this plays out the first 10 days, and I want to you reiterated this. Every single day that passes, we will have Volt will have a drop in the buy and burn through that first 10 days. But every single day that there's minting that happens, there's going to be sells. And so, in my opinion, and I could be totally wrong, but we could potentially see more being burnt as the days go on than on day one. So throughout those first 10 days, we
Mm,
might see more burnt on day 10 than day one, just due to sell offs in general.
mm, mm. Yeah, 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 very, very possible. And another thing about Vault, which is important too, is it's a very clear arbitrage. So you do your auctions on day one, everyone gets their token at the same time. When you claim your tokens, everyone can get them at the same time. Immediately when the day goes from day one to day two, your tokens are available. The auction's ended, your tokens are available. Everyone can claim, and that I did that intentionally. So the ROI arbitrage is very clear between day and one, and I don't mind if it dumps because the buy and burn's there to buy it, buy and burn, to buy and burn, get some cheaper tokens if people want to give their tokens away. So yeah, that's the game theory behind that.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, it's gonna be really interesting to see. Even through Flux, right? The first 7 days have a specific amount of tokens coming out, and then the next
Mm,
week has a specific amount of tokens coming out, right?
mm,
So the difference between something like that and this is going to be just really interesting to see, just due to the timing, right? The amount of days, the amount of coins coming out, the
mm.
buy and burn, right? It's a lot of these projects have somewhat of the same flavor, right? But it's a totally different flavor, right? It's in the
Yeah.
same family, but it's
Yes.
totally different. It's really crazy.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I mean, yeah, got some flavors from past protocols, but compared to Flux, Blaze, Inferno, this is a brand new
Yep.
species.
Yep.
There's no reward pools, there's no staking. It's just massive buy and burn on steroids with on a deflationary, hyper deflationary coin, which turns hyper deflationary 100% in 10 days. But what's interesting to me is how much is going to be burnt in the first 10 days. So what is this number going to be? It's going to be
Yep.
fat. And Mike Dean, I call him Mike June. He's awesome. Mike Dean has made a June dashboard, which all he has to do is plug in the contracts and it's good to go. So he's probably going to have that day one, he said,
Oh, that's
at
awesome.
least in the this
That's
weekend.
awesome.
So yeah,
Are
yeah.
you
So
are
thank
you
you.
are you accepting any guesses to how much percent
Oh
is
man,
burnt?
that would be good. Yeah, go on. Yeah, I would
I,
love. What do you
I'm
think?
gonna my guess, and this is off of no math, right? This is just my general feeling, is going to be 38% is going to be totally burnt in the first 10
Ooh.
days. That's my guess, right? So my feeling is I want to go higher, right? But I don't want to go too high where it's like, okay, we're not burning 80% of the supply, right? So I
Yeah.
think I think 38% is still a bit aggressive amount of circulating supply in 10 days, but that's just my guess.
Okay. If you think 38%, that means 38% in the treasure vault too.
Yep.
So that's interesting.
Yeah.
So 30
So
you
that's
so yeah, that's a good guess because 38% of the treasure vault will be 380 million, which would be about 70,000 on day 11. 70 million, sorry, on day 11, which would be it's kind of an interesting amount. Interesting amount because less than 100,000, 100 million on the previous 10 days, but still a
mhm.
good amount. So yeah, 38 sounds like a good guess. Sounds
I
like a good
appreciate
guess.
it, and I'm excited to see people in the future, right? I think now until the 10 days. Obviously, tomorrow it's releasing, which is awesome that we're having this live stream now, right?
Yeah,
You'll
man.
be able to see exactly how much percent comes out in 10 days, which is awesome.
Yeah.
Less than 21 hours.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That countdown's going to 2 p.m. UTC. So,
That's so
yeah.
awesome. Yeah, and I love the colors too. Obviously, the neon green is cool, but
Yeah.
the ethos of all the other colors are kind of a culmination of different various projects, and obviously, it's every
Yeah.
project kind of has their own color, which is really cool.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. For Vault, for branding, I kind of went with like positive retro space. That's kind of the branding for Vault.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
It just doesn't have a mascot like a lot of the other projects. It's kind of this retro space vibe. So
I love it. Yeah, and I think
Lightning. Yeah,
mascots and whatnot is all good. I think any
yeah,
type of marketing that we could
absolutely.
possibly have is great, right? And
Absolutely.
some projects don't need them, in my opinion, right? It's a
Yeah,
different
yeah,
different style, different application
yeah,
in general.
yeah,
So you know,
yeah,
I think
yeah,
we have some really cool, interesting vibes in Volt.
yeah. I like that. Yeah, vibes. Yeah, interesting vibes.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited. I think if anybody has any questions for Steve that hasn't been answered, I know he's been on an absolute tear with live streams this past week or two.
Wow,
So
man.
if anybody has
Yeah,
any you know things anybody wants to say, please let us know.
yeah. I mean, like when I started with Vault, I didn't do many live streams. I mean, I did live streams on the Weekly Blaze.
Yep.
Now and again, I showed up, and I used to go to bed like a little bit earlier back then because I didn't I missed a lot just 'cause I was in bed.
Mm-hmm.
But since I started Vault and I realized, oh, if I'm the only one doing this, there's no one else. I better start going on streams. And so I just decided to just push myself and go on streams, and um, it's been really fun. I have really enjoyed going on stream and even making my own channel. So, I think one of the most fun things of this whole Vault journey for me has been just talking to people like you, going on the streams, um, finding out that it wasn't as hard as I thought. And it's good. Originally, it was pushing myself to the limit or pushing myself into an uncomfortable place.
Mm-hmm.
But it turned out to be, it's a good thing to do, to push yourself to get uncomfortable sometimes. But it turned out to be a load of fun. So I think it's a lot easier than I thought too, making Vault. Maybe the whole experience with building Blaze and stuff was like a training ground. I mean, I did a lot in Web too, so I've done stuff. I've managed people for years, so managing a team for me is really really fun and easy. And so and that's another reason why I like to do it by myself, so I can just manage my team. Because I delegate, I'm a massive delegator, and if someone can do it, I let them do it. But for streaming, I thought about delegating streaming, to be honest with you. I was even like thinking, shit, but it's not a type of thing to delegate. I have to step out. So that's what I did. So that's the one thing I couldn't delegate was the streaming. So that's why I'm here, and it's with a load of fun.
Yeah, and on top of that, right, this is part of the TitanX ethos that we have of doxed founders, right,
Yeah.
or a face to the coin or
Mhm.
whatever, and people want to, for whatever reason, want to hear from the person that's directly making it, right? Because at the end of the
Mhm.
day, all of this stuff is pretty much immutable code that once it's out there, it's done, right? It's not changing. This is what it does for the perpetuity of forever, right? And all we can do is build on top of it to make it more efficient or better, right? And part of the really cool thing about TitanX is, community is not only do the founders want to be doxed and have their face on it, but other people in the community want their face on TitanX as well. So I know you're not alone in the
Mm.
feeling of getting out there and putting your face on camera. And I'm not necessarily the best person for streaming, right? For instance, I just like having conversations, right? I don't
Mhm.
really
Yeah.
deal with the whole like I'm
Yeah.
a streamer, I'm a YouTuber,
Yeah.
influencer. I
Yeah.
don't really think about that, right? I
Yeah. Yeah.
mainly just like having conversations with builders and people and
Yeah.
just hearing different viewpoints. That's my only goal with all of this.
That is that's an awesome way to start to be a streamer and to start a stream, to have conversation and to learn more from other people, get more viewpoints and get more intelligent and insight from that. And that's what I'm excited for too about this whole streaming. That's why I started a show, and I'm interviewing people or anyone who wants to come on to learn their crypto journey and what they're doing with their tokenomics on TitanX. And you learn more about the person and their experience. It's actually, yeah, it's a real cool thing. I know Crypto Kindness started his stream just because he wanted to learn more, and it became an amazing stream. He's a great guy,
Mhm.
with but he did it just because he wanted to learn. And being curious and learning is a really powerful skill. to have, you know,
Yeah,
just to be
yeah, and
curious. Yeah.
I love it, right? You know, I don't kind of shy away
Mm,
from hard conversations or disagreements or whatever the case may be, because through speaking and conversations and discussions, we could really accomplish a lot of great things. And I think one of the biggest things that TitanX has is a culmination of people really working
mhm,
together and discussing ideas and discussing what's the best thing that we can build or do to a certain
mhm,
project to not only get more eyeballs on it, more capital in, but
mm,
ultimately build the best thing we can. And you know, Volt is one of those things, and this is why you're on the stream, and this is why we've been talking for as long as we have. Right? It's something that just gets my brain going and or
yeah.
sparked, if you want to make it a pun, right?
Like
Yeah, so it's been really cool, and I think you know, I'm interested to not only see where Volt goes, but see what projects that's built on Volt, because like you
yeah,
said, this is it has bits and pieces of other projects, but overall, this is brand new, and we have to
yeah.
treat it like it's a brand new product.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely, that's right. Treat it as a brand new, yeah, absolutely, that's totally right.
Yeah, and
Um,
you don't know because you like we said, you have bits and pieces of other product projects, right?
mm,
But every single project that has been released thus far in Titan X has had a different start to now point, right? It's completely different. So whether you think you know how the release is going to go with Volt, you probably don't, in my opinion, right? It's going to be very different than everything, and
mm.
maybe some cases similar to others, but you know, it's just got its own story and its own life that's going to happen once it's released.
Yeah, yeah, and that's the beauty of decentralization is you release it and you playing with code on the internet. You design and you make it cool. I mean, when someone first told me about Ethereum in 2017, I was blown away that this I didn't even understand it for years. And it didn't even you know, and I'm more techy, I love tech, but Ethereum blew my mind, and after years and years and years, I suddenly dawned on me, wow, this is so the simple way to describe it is just code, which is can be immutable basically, and it just use interact with it. It's like that whole Bitcoin, like for years and years before that, I didn't understand Bitcoin, but then when someone explains it, it's just like a database, public database, Excel spreadsheet that is everyone can view. It's a bit simple, and with Ethereum, it's like there's just code, like you would put on a server, but it's there on the blockchain that runs stuff,
Yep.
runs software, you know, or
Yeah.
interacts.
Yeah.
Yeah,
In a world full of backdoor deals, right?
yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
you know, nothing in the public view. I mean, for the most part, every
Mm.
single society and country is pretty much holding a ton of information back, right? And this is the only space in the world that doesn't do that, and they can't do it.
Yeah,
It's impossible, right? So it's
yeah,
like everything is on the blockchain, whether it's good or bad, right? You could
yeah,
you know,
yeah.
so and like you said, right? It's Vault is triple audited, right? Which the
Yes,
audits say, hey, this is the vulnerabilities of it, or
yes,
this is how great it's going to be, right? So
yes, yes.
it's very cool the fact that we have checks and balances in a decentralized world, right? This is not centralized, and we have
Oh,
more
man.
checks and balances than any
Yeah,
other country or society.
yeah, yeah. I mean, it's phenomenal because, you know, it's so easy for people to think, "Oh, crypto, it looks sounds dodgy." Even sometimes I say people say, "What do you do?" And, you know, I don't really know what to say often. It's like in 2008, it's like because I did my own business and I did Web 2 and I was online and I was living in different countries. Like, I was basically a digital nomad. But back then the community I was in or forums I was in, friends I made, it's like, "What do you even tell people that you do?"
Yep.
Some people said I'm a digital nomad, some people say this or that. But it's the same thing when you start if you make a living in crypto, not I don't make a living in crypto, but like in crypto, what would you say to people? But if you say you do stuff in crypto, you can be looked on a little bit dodgy. Like, oh, you're doing stuff in crypto? You know, are you a terrorist or something?
Yep. Yeah, and you
You
know,
know what I mean? Because I have a lot of
still yeah, so still a lot of people that you know, follow me on Twitter, X, or whatever the case may be, or just people I knew from
Yeah.
back in the day, right? My growing up and whatnot, and always
Yeah,
there's
yeah.
like they're like, dude, you are really tweeting about a whole bunch of crypto stuff. Like, what is that? And it's like, man, you
Yeah.
you see that I'm tweeting about this, and you're not even interested to even think about what I'm talking about, which is wild to me.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Yeah,
And
but yeah, the transparency and excitement. Oh, we're on the crest of a wave in the whole decentralized space and crypto space, and and TitanX is the person actually surfing the wave, just like in
yep,
the top, you know. So we're in the cutting edge just in crypto, and on the cutting edge in DeFi, and then even in the cutting edge in the niche TitanX in DeFi. It's like Inception in a dream, and within a dream within a dream. It's
hmm
like TitanX is the last dream in Inception. When he's in the deepest part of the dream.
yep,
That's where we are.
I
That's where
love
we are.
that.
But yeah,
Yeah,
transparency, and we can see everyone's dreams in a way. Like in Inception, but like um crypto is so transparent, and what's going to come in the next few years is just mind-boggling. It's just mind-boggling to me,
yeah,
because
I
when I
couldn't
see it,
agree.
I think like think 10 years in the past, like it was 2014. That doesn't seem that far away. It feels like you can touch it. I
Yep.
can touch 2014. I knew what I did. I knew where I was. I can remember what happened. I know how I was feeling. I knew what I was thinking. I can still go back there and think. But go 10 years in the future, 2034. I'm like, that seems like an eternity.
Yep.
The future feels further than the past. But when I go back 10 years, but look where we came in the last 10 years, and look and where we might be going in the next 10 years. It's interesting to think that way.
Yeah, yeah, and Bitcoin is what 15-ish years old at this point,
Yeah.
and it's released 2009-ish or whatever. So I always say this, and if you watched my daily uploads early on in TitanX, the one thing I kept saying is this type of project is going to be a forever growing thing, and
Mm,
it's not what it is a month from now. It's not what it is day 280 or day 369, right? It's 2888, right? The length
mm,
of that, when TitanX inflation goes to 800 per day, how many projects are being built, what has been built, how much TitanX is in circulating supply, how many times did miners go positive and then negative again, right? So it's going to be a long, long time before we see the true potential of everything. And like you said, 10 years from now, and crypto is such an incredibly long time. So many
yeah.
advances could happen so quickly, and that
Mm,
we don't even know what's coming. We really don't. And especially projects like TitanX and, Volt and this and that, right? Built on TitanX, we haven't seen it before. We're currently seeing what the little bit of projects being built onto it can do, let
yeah.
alone 10 years from now.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, wow. Wow. Yeah, just like I look back with the internet when I first used the internet. I remember first using the internet, and being told about Google. I
Yep.
remember, and I was like, "This is amazing." I started like searching. I put in things like, "What is the meaning of life?" That's what I put into Google to see what would come
hmm
up. And the fact that I could type stuff in and then search for stuff blew me away. That was like in 2020 or year 2000. Sorry, year
Yeah.
2000.
2020.
2000, yeah, 2020. I'm like, uh, and then 2010, a decade later, we get the blockchain, like Bitcoin come. It blows my mind, and I can't. It takes me years to get my head around Bitcoin. But and then 10 years later, we get AI.
Yep.
You know, so and like it blows me away. I can type stuff in, and I can curate information, and I can become 10x more productive. And what it's doing in music and video and understanding, it's just mind-boggling. And then what about 2030? What are they going to have, like robots that are going to move? And because we've got the AI and they think and doing pretty good stuff. I mean, even years ago, a year ago, I was I was I started making macros on Excel through complex macros on it use for stuff I needed to do on Excel through AI that I never could do before. Like like I hired developers, but I was able to set up servers just through AI. Like I
Yep.
started mining Zen blocks in like 30 minutes just by figuring it out with AI and just following the instructions. So in year 2030, maybe are we going to get robots that can move and do stuff and do everything we don't want to do, like go and cook me some toast and butter it.
Yep.
you know,
Yeah, so it's going to be insane, man. It really is, and I'm really hoping, and I have an inkling that TitanX is really, really going to lead the way in crypto.
Mm,
We are such a small community right now, and it feels like we've been at it for so long, right? But you got to think people are still chanting Bitcoin on the top of the mountain, and it's 15 years old, right? So we're not
yeah,
even a full year, right? And there's some
yeah,
diehard Bitcoin people that's the only thing they buy, the only thing, right?
yeah. Got
So
the
it's
laser. Yeah, yeah,
we are a niche within a niche within a niche within a niche, right? It's like the levels of it's insane. So
it,
it's gonna be
yeah,
interesting to see 2030 and beyond. I really
yeah.
can't believe it.
Yeah, we're a niche in a niche in a niche, but we all have the biggest mouth because when I look at the engagement and how loud this community is
Yep.
compared to bigger coins, it is phenomenal. Like Jake made a tweet yesterday and said, this is like a once in a lifetime type crypto place to be explosion. What's happening in the ecosystem with TitanX?
Yep.
So yeah, it is. It's unique, and I'm thrilled. It's like I like this coin. If I just find out about it now or like last month, I'll be like, this is awesome. Just like I
Hmm.
found out about Hex years and years later. I was like, I got in it, but I'm so blessed to be in this journey from the beginning.
Yeah.
To see it evolve, to be like part of the story.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
yeah,
and you're putting your footprint on it as well with Volt. I mean, whether you know it or not, right? That's going to be one of the cornerstones in TitanX. It really will
yeah,
be, and just like how all the other ones are right now. And it's
yeah,
early. It's very early on. You'll be the 11th protocol to release,
yeah,
right? So
yeah,
that's my favorite number. So that's great. We love that, and
yeah,
it's going to be really interesting to see kind of the effects long term of something
yeah.
like Volt on Titan X, and because all the stats will
Dude,
be there, right? And
yes.
what it does and how much it's burnt and this and that. So it's going to be cool.
Yes. Yeah, yeah, you're right. I look back at, websites in, like, early 2000s, and they weren't too good, but they became, like, really sophisticated websites.
Hmm.
And it's like, yeah, I want it'd be it I'm it'd be really interesting. I'm really interested in the next year because crypto moves fast. The utility aspect of what is built on TitanX. That's what I think, yeah, going forward for me, what excites me the most is the future protocols coming out is the utility aspect. I mean, maybe like next year, I'd be really interested in seeing this. And like I said, mentioned, I think a big builder who's like built like when I think Aerodrome went to base. They did a
Hmm.
just stealth launch on base like earlier this year, or was it last year?
Yep.
And I was there the first day, just like on the farms. But you just 'cause I trusted the team. But imagine if someone like that just came to TitanX, and why not? Why not? I mean, there's no reason not to, because they want users.
Yep. Yeah, and I think there's going to be a big influx of other protocols and people and communities that really jump in, and it's we see the current price of TitanX as what it is, right? We've seen the lows,
Yeah,
we've seen its highs, its launch,
yeah.
whatever the case may be, but people are coming into it nowadays, seeing what the chart is currently, what is
Mm,
being built right now, what's going to be built, what has been
mm,
built. So they're going to have a total different perspective on TitanX in a whole the moment they see this product. And it's one of those things people know about it, whether they're
mm.
in it or not. A lot of people know about it, and all it takes is a few good green candles, like we've already seen, and for people to start jumping in. And we've already seen a little bit of growth just by a couple green candles, and this is only barely off the bottom. It barely is.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, TitanX right now is it's if you look at like the chart and the future, it's kind of I bought some TitanX at these levels, even a bit higher actually,
Yep.
but I also bought a ton lower. But it's only a 3, maybe 4x from the bottom. It's not that far, and only went down to the lows very quickly, like I said, about zeros and twos for a little bit around there, and then it just started pumping. But
Yep.
it's still not much up there. I mean, Solana went down to 8 and did like a 20x.
Hmm.
So the market cap is is not that big. Dragon X has a bigger market cap than Titan X, which is phenomenal. But
Hmm.
you know, Dragon X, it did like a massive amount of X's. And Baby Dragon X, which has its liquidity with Dragon X, did like a 70x in liquidity.
Insane.
And yeah, so imagine being bonded to Titan X and then Titan X doing what everyone kind of knows it's going to do. Um, it's going to be phenomenal because it's going to push a lot of these liquidity pools of projects bonded with Titan X really high. And before you know it, you put a little bit in this, a little bit in that. You know, put a little bit in Baby Dragon back in the day, you get 70x. You know,
Yep.
like $500 is it's the risk reward is pretty low. You know, going to Baby Dragon X, put $500 in and get a 70x in 6 months. You
It's
know,
like 35K or something like that. I mean, it's pretty
yeah,
good.
not bad, is it? I mean, I
Yeah.
put a grand in and I
Right.
sold it. I sold it there. I sold it at the low. Even
Yep.
I even lost.
Yep.
I shouldn't have done that. I put a grand in and my gas was really high, and then I sold it because I lost trust.
Yeah.
But, you know, I should
And
have just kept it.
yeah, well, I think there's a lot of people in TitanX, and like I said, the sediment back then was so different than it is now. So no
Yeah,
one can blame for doing that. Tons of
yeah,
people baited it. I think a lot of people took advantage of it, right? So it's market
yeah,
sediments will really do a lot. Red candles will really change your perspective on what's possible
yeah,
very quickly,
yeah.
and
You're right.
the green candles feel euphoric, right? And the red candles feel
Mm,
so bad. And you're like,
mm,
maybe I'm wrong. Maybe, you start questioning your whole entire idea of what could happen
mm,
very quickly. And it's like, okay, I
mm,
thought this way for 5 or 6 months straight. Okay, why did this one week change my whole perspective on those 6 months? You know what I
mm.
mean? So it's like we all went through that at different various stages of this product
Yeah,
and life
yeah,
of
you're right.
Titan X.
You're absolutely right. And, you know, the emotion is real. And one
Yep.
of the hardest things to do in crypto is to sell. Red candles, you can be just on it's an emotional roller coaster. But when I was buying Titan X, every time I bought Titan X, I did I checked myself. I bought it based on personal for me, the fundamentals of the whole ecosystem, the project,
Mhm.
and everything about it. So I made intentional decisions to buy a lot of Titan X based on its fundamental future because I think this is unique. I've been thinking that for a while. This is really unique, um, and I like buying with that because it takes the emotions out. If I'm buying crypto on a like I bought Solana even when it was high, when it went up to $80, I was buying Solana based not on the price movement. 'Cause look at the past of Solana, it did a 10x in the last when I bought it the last year. But and at $80 is seemed like a lot. But I'm like, no, I like this. I like what's going on in Solana. I like the fundamental thing of the future of this. And so I bought Solana
Yep.
back at that price, just on fundamental, not on. I bought it as it was going up. But yeah, similar thing for me. Similar thing for me. Similar feeling I have when I'm buying Titan X now. I didn't in the last month. I mean, I bought. I mean, just because um, I didn't feel that I had enough Titan X, like everyone else, I was waiting for day 280 with my button, and I was actually waiting there with my button. I was all loaded in to buy, and it never happened.
Yep.
And
Same.
yeah,
I had some limit orders
yeah,
on that. I was like, okay, well, day 280 is coming. It's going to drop to this for sure. It's probably going to go even lower. And guess what? Didn't get called any of
Yeah,
those buys.
yeah, yeah, and I had liquidity, down there because I was gonna just DCA in through the liquidity, and I put it what I thought was quite high, and it didn't even hit.
Yep.
And I was like, "Whoa." So I pulled it and I just bought high. So I had to buy high. I bought in the 2s and 3s.
Hmm.
And I back then I thought, "Well, I bought pretty high, but, I believe in it, so never mind."
Yeah, I
But
mean,
looking
in
back,
my
I was like,
opinion, right, not financial advice. Anything in the six zeros
"I agree."
is a decent spot. I
Yeah,
mean,
it's good.
obviously, we saw the lowest of lows, but six zeros, right, is any type of X's, right? If we
Yeah,
drop a zero and we do 10x, right, that's huge. That's huge. If you bought at
yeah,
six zeros five, we drop a zero, we drop another zero, bang, you just got 20x just like that. So it's like things could happen and move very quickly, especially with December rolling in with zero inflation. I mean, zero.
yeah. I mean, when there's 0 inflation and then everything is being burnt, yeah, you can easily see a couple of zeros go.
Yep.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'm
huh,
I'm
yeah,
excited. I really am excited. It's going to be really interesting to see.
yeah. I'm really interested. I wonder if this is on Mike Dean's dashboard. I wanna see the history of TitanX price in relation to the supply, and I've asked a couple of people for that, but I need to check his premium Titan X Hub Premium, which is awesome.
Yep.
It's worth checking out. It's awesome. Yeah, but I want to see if it has that. I'm sure it does.
Yeah, and if you guys are listening and you're interested in the TitanX Hub Premium, there's various different. I don't have a curator code or anything like that, but there's various different people that have a
Mm,
10% discount on the
yeah.
full, tops $500 a year one. And if you have some gains from these projects that have happened, right? Roll it in, and nothing can be hurt with more information and more data
Mm,
to kind of dictate what you do in the future. And, I think what Mike Dean has made and has put out for free for a very long time
mm,
to now, right? I think not only does he deserve those payments, right, but also people that are holding these assets deserve that information because Dune doesn't have it, right?
mm,
All these other stat pages don't have it, right? So this is a
yeah,
very unique set of data points and graphs and whatever the case may be that he has over there. So if you want to
yeah,
get it, use a creator code, get that 10%, get all the information you need.
yeah. You know, and that's another awesome thing about Titan X ethos is the capitalism. You know, Jake got some flack for his mastermind when people were paying for his mastermind. I paid for his mastermind. I mean, when I first saw him on liquid loans and I saw the cash flow for life, I thought, "Oh, I'm going to join that," because it's that first. I like it, I like passive income to try and get more passive income. Cash flow for
Hmm.
life sounded really good. I think it's a brilliant brand. As soon as I saw it, I thought I'm going to join that. And then when I found out the price, I'm like, actually, it's a really good price. It's a really, really good price. And I thought it was going to be more, but it was like, okay, I paid it. I paid it on the spot. And that mastermind was fantastic because Jake had a lot of. He doesn't do all this information that he used to share because it's all Titan X content, but he used to share some really good information in that mastermind about macro thoughts. It was just a really great place and a great. And in these masterminds, these paid masterminds, as well as the curated information, you get access to cool people and also like a community of people who are also on the same thing. So I join I have no problem joining masterminds. Every single mastermind in health, every area of life, I'm going to join a mastermind because I get better information there. So but Titan X started from that. From it's okay. I mean, I just remember in the Hex community there was a lot of pushback on that, and at the time, but it's important. So Mike Mike Dean, I always always I'm always calling him Mike June. I always have Mike June in my mind, Mike Dean, and yeah, I mean these tools are fantastic. Like I have so many premium tools too because I have tools for everything. So I'm always going to get the best tool because I get an edge, and I want to have that edge. So,
Yeah,
yeah,
and it really does give you a good edge. I
yeah,
truly will. will agree with that. It's
Yeah,
awesome to see, and the evolution of starting from an Excel sheet that people just downloaded to
yeah,
what it is now is so amazing to see. It really is. It's so cool.
yeah, it is really cool, and he's making it better and better and better. Even the design this last few weeks, wow, he's really upped
Yeah,
his up the design. It's
yeah, and it
beautiful.
only helps us, right? And the
Yeah.
most undervalued thing on the website is the correct links to everything.
Oh,
Right? That
yeah,
is
you're
that
right.
is arguably the most important part that
Yeah,
people overlook all the time.
you're right. That's a really good point.
Yeah,
That's a really good point.
I love it. Yeah. So I'm gonna look through some chat, see if we got any people asking questions. Smooth, where do I get a hat like that? I made this. I'm going to probably release some in the next month or so, maybe a little bit earlier. I got some different various things I'm doing, but yeah. So made this. It says TitanX upside down and backwards. But yeah. Shout out to you, Kevin. Just had some toast and tea, a good Brit breakfast. I love it, Hamet. Yeah, TEDx says indeed it's intimidate being live, but it gets easier. Yeah, it definitely does. And if you don't talk to people for a living, I know that streaming can be a little daunting slash just putting a face to a voice or whatever the case may be. But in this community, people love hearing your viewpoint and what you have going on and your life story, your background. People love hearing that. So if you are thinking about streaming, right? Both of us, we started off not really knowing if we wanted to or should we. We were kind of maybe more anonymous on Twitter, whatever the case may be. But look at us. We just had a conversation for an hour and a half, and it felt like effortless. That's when it's good vibes and good people. This is truly so easy to
Yeah.
make this stuff. And at the end of the day, like I said earlier, it's just a conversation.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. You even forget you're on stream, and it's like public speaking. That can be really daunting when you first do it, and
Yep.
it sometimes becomes fun. This is kind of like a public speaking, and you don't see the audience. It's a little bit easier because you don't see the
Yeah.
audience.
Yeah, I did in college. I went to business school, and our final project for my business seminar class was basically like a Shark Tank type of. You make a
Yeah,
product or
yeah,
business, and you have to do
yeah.
this slideshow. Right? It was 20 slides. It was a 75-page business paper that I wrote, and a 10-page Excel sheet, and I had to give a presentation on all of this in front of almost 1,000 people in person. So it's like after that, I was like, okay, talking in front of a screen is pretty easy for me.
Yes, yes.
Yeah,
Wow,
but
that's training. That's training. For me, it was similar. I'll tell you something. I went to Africa, and I stayed a couple of years there, but it was like a mission trip. And one of the things I wanted to do was um was reach out was actually teach English from the Bible. That's what I wanted to do. And the first time that I planned everything, and I was in the middle of nowhere, and all the people came to this place I rented out, and I was so focused on arranging it that I forgot that I was the one that's going to have to stand up there and teach them something. I'd
mhm.
never done this before. I'm in the middle of Africa. And I remember sitting there, and my friend next to me just nudged me, said, "Now you're up there now. You arranged all this." I'm like, "Oh no, you're right. Is it really me?" So
Yeah.
I get up there and I'm standing, I'm just looking at, and I seriously, everyone wanted to come to this class I did. The whole town. And they were all in this room and they were standing. I printed out everything. I didn't even have enough to give to people. I didn't even
Mhm.
give it out. Actually, I gave it out at the end. I caused a riot. Because I didn't have enough for everyone, and so I didn't give them out. And then at the end, I thought, well, I may as well give them out because what am I going to do with them? Throw them in the bin. So I gave them out, and every single person wanted them, and they were grabbing them. They were getting ripped up, or my handouts. There
Mhm.
was just a riot in the school. I'm serious. I was like, oh man, I caused a riot. But anyway, standing up, trying to speak to all these people, I was terrified.
Yep.
all these Africans, and I didn't even know what I was going to say. So somehow I blagged my way through that, and it got easier and easier and easier as time went on. But
Yeah, that's awesome, man. That's a really, really cool story, and a lot of people don't get the opportunity to do stuff like that. And through
yeah,
your, you know, I guess courage to stand up there. Right now, you have this story, and now you've
yeah,
changed people's lives for the better
yeah,
for the rest of their life. Really, it's really, really awesome and commendable.
yeah, yeah. You're right. I mean, the courage that people we take to step out of our comfort zone, it can change lives and changes our life, and then we can build on that experience to do something better. So yeah,
Yeah.
good call.
Absolutely. Yeah. And part of that is releasing a project. And
Yeah,
like yourself, right? Volt is coming out. It's releasing
yeah,
tomorrow, 2 p.m. UTC. If anybody's interested and still doesn't know the time, but it's going to be very interesting to see not only this project but other projects you release, because I know for a fact once you release this isn't going to be the last thing you build. It's impossible. People, when they get the building bug, they got to keep building. So
yeah, yeah.
I'm really interested to see not only how Volt does and other projects you make do.
Yeah. Oh, thank you, man. I appreciate it, and thank you for the conversation, having me on today. Let's do this another time. This is fantastic.
Absolutely, man. I think we not only have a great conversation, good vibes, good
Yeah,
information, a lot of
yeah,
questions answered.
yeah,
I hope people, if you have questions, please get in the Telegram. I put it in the chat all the way up here. It's docs.volt.win, and it has tons of information on the white paper. And obviously, the Telegram is linked to this video. So go to Steve DeFi's Twitter or Volt's Twitter. They have everything there. And TitanX Hub as well has everything there. So, yeah, man, Steve, it's been a pleasure having you on. It was such a great conversation, great
yeah.
time. Anything else you want to say to the people before we get out of here?
Go check out the white paper. Connect with me in the Telegram. I'd love to ask some questions. If you're confused, we'll jump on a call. We'll do a space anytime. That's totally fine. Volt launches tomorrow. Massive buy and burn on steroids. Cap supply deflationary coin. It's exciting. I'm looking forward to it. And I see you on the inside.
Absolutely. Yeah. And
Yeah.
guys, this is a new project, never been before done. So we are gonna be all eyes on it. And yeah, it's been amazing talking to you, Steve. And if I could shamelessly plug myself, I am 5 subscribers away, 2,000 subscribers on YouTube. So
Uh,
out of the 200 that are in here, please follow me on YouTube so I can hit 2K. Optically, it looks a lot better. So appreciate you for watching, viewing, subscribing, following, all that stuff. Steve, thank you for coming. This has been an amazing conversation.
yeah, man. Beautiful. Take care.
Awesome. All right. See you guys. This has been Smoothie Crypto. I'm your host, Maxwell Smooth, with Steve DeFi from Volt, and we are out of here. Peace.